Hi, and welcome to BeautiFLEX. I'm excited that you've joined me with this video, the Let's Split series, where we will be working on getting your front splits. So we're going to be taking a systematic approach. In this first video, we're going to be looking at assessing and finding your challenging areas in achieving the front splits. And you're going to appreciate having this information because it will give you more control over the process. You'll have specific targets for you, and you'll have more focus so you can stay the course. So I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. The first one is to put yourself in front of a mirror or an iPhone camera or something of that sort so you can see your results. Number 2, please warm up before starting. We have some on the BeautiFLEX channel, or you can jog in place or something to get the blood flowing before you start these assessment exercises. And number 3, take it slow. The key is consistency, doing the right exercises for you in the right order. So with that, let's get started and let's split, split, and split. Doing the front splits is a full body experience. It involves multiple joint complexes and muscle groups. Overall, we're looking for square hips where both hip bones are facing forward and either leg is extending from the hip socket with long straight lines. You can think of it as the front leg pushing forward from the hip socket and the back or the trailing leg pulling backwards. So we're looking to achieve a nice push-pull balance between the front and back legs. Now, there are 2 things to avoid. First, your hip flaring open in the front split. This is a case where you're flat on the ground with both legs extended in either direction, but your hips are facing outward, which really is a big indication that your hips are out of alignment and you're not achieving the full benefits of a truly aligned front split. The second thing to avoid is overemphasizing the lead leg or the front leg for improvement in your front splits. What tends to happen is that we overwork stretching our hamstrings to achieve the split, and typically the major block is your back leg. That's where the major inflexibility and tension can be. So since, remember, order matters, we're going to start with the most common roadblock, our back leg, and as you release the back leg, you should see an impact on how the rest of your split unfolds. Your back leg will need considerable flexibility in the hip flexor. It will need to have the ability to internally rotate at the hip. Your knee should be facing downward to the mat, and your back leg should be straight. And that's going to require stretch in the front of your thighs, more specifically your rectus femoris muscle, which crosses both the hip and the knee. Tight thighs will cause your lower back to arch excessively in the split, so we need to get that straight. Finally, the top of your ankles needs to be facing the mat. That is, your back foot needs to be able to point. Without this flexibility in your ankle, it will kick your back leg out of internal rotation, which will cause you to flare outward in your hips. Again, it's not a line that we want to achieve. So what kind of exercises should we do to test the flexibility of our back leg? Well, first let's do the hip flexor test. Lying flat on your back, make sure to maintain a neutral spine without any excessive arching in the lower back. Maintain that good rib to hip connection. Next, pull in one knee as far as it will go towards your chest. If your extended leg lifts off the mat, then you have tight hip flexors, and something that you will need to work on to achieve your split. What we're looking to achieve is that your leg on the mat remains straight as you flex your bent leg to 90 degrees or beyond. Remember to do both sides. Now for the quad stretch test, testing the stretch in our thighs. Standing on one leg, grab the ankle of your other leg and pull the heel towards your glutes. The goal is to have your heel touch your glutes, and if you're able to do this, great. Now, if you're unable to perform this movement, this will be an area to focus on. If you can touch your leg to your glute, there's one more test to perform. Try tucking your hip under so that the front of your hip is flat. If you're unable to do this, or if your bent knee moves in front of your standing leg, then you will need to work on stretching your thigh muscles. Having a well-stretched front thigh will help you to avoid a bent leg in your front split, as well as overarching in your lower back. Remember to do both sides. The plantar flexion or the front ankle test. Kneel on the mat with your ankles of your feet against the floor. Slowly sit back on your heels. If you're feeling comfortable in this position, then no further work is needed. However, if you're unable to attain this pose, then know this is an area you'll need to focus on. Also, if you're able to sit back but you're feeling a strain in the front of your shins, also this indicates further work is needed. Finally, make sure your feet are straight, not everted or sickling outward. That will indicate also that you will still need to work on your front ankles. Even though the front splits are a front-back movement, we must remember to give the legs the space they need to move in the hips. As mentioned earlier, square hips is very important and you don't want them to flare open because your hips are tight. The back leg needs room to internally rotate so that the knee faces down. As for the front leg, it's important that it can rotate outwardly, externally, so that there will be no pulling sensation on the groin or too much strain on the belly of the hamstrings as the legs separate. A great exercise to test both internal and external rotation is the 90-90 hip stretch. Seated on the floor, your front leg should be externally rotated, with the thigh extended straight out from the hip, knee bent at a 90-degree angle. The back leg will be internally rotated, thigh extended straight out from the hip, and the knee bent at a 90-degree angle. Make sure your torso is stacked over your hips and shoulders are parallel and aligned with your shin. Great setup. Some things to look out for. If you find yourself leaning to one side, it means your hips are tight. Similarly, if you find that your front leg is popping up, then that means your external rotation needs some work. If your back leg is popping up, then it's your internal rotation that will need some work. And if both knees are popping up, you will need to work on both the internal and external rotation. For a more extensive explanation and for effective exercises that can help open up your hips, check out the 90-90 series on this BeautiFLEX channel. It's often overlooked, but it's very important for us to have core strength and control as we perform the front splits. If all things are aligned with good core strength, you should be able to hold your torso upright. Without excessive arching or slumping forward. Also, if you have this core strength, it will help in keeping your hips square, especially when you're working your way down and have not yet attained a flat front split. We're going to turn to the standing hip hinge test. This test is going to assess your core strength and the ability of your hamstrings to lengthen while the core is under load. While keeping your knees soft, hinge at the hips. In this position, you should feel as if your glutes are extending backwards as your head extends forward. So you should feel a stretch in two opposite directions. You don't want your back to round at all. That indicates that you'll need some core work. Instead, your goal is to maintain a flat back that is having your torso parallel to the ground. If you're able to perform this, you're good to go. To make sure you get a clean reading, you may want to use a broomstick or a rod of some sort to make sure your back is truly flat. The broomstick should touch your lower back, mid-back, and your head and stay in contact with these 3 points as you hinge. If the broomstick loses contact with your back at any point, it will most likely be due to the rounding in your back, indicating you will need work on strengthening your core. And hey, in that case, check out the BeautiFLEX channel for videos focusing on core strength. Now let's look at the lead leg. The lead leg will require significant length through the hamstrings to execute a good front split. While learning the splits, stretching the front leg, I encourage you to use a flex foot. By flexing your front foot, it will help to contract or engage your quads, which will feel like you're driving your kneecap up towards your hip. In turn, your nervous system will automatically send a signal to the back of your legs to relax and lengthen the hamstrings. So we're going to do 2 exercises to test our hamstring length. First, the active knee extension. Lie on your back and keep one leg long and extended flat on the floor. Bend your other leg and hold the back of your thigh as you raise it to 90 degrees. Now slowly straighten that leg as much as possible to the ceiling. If you're able to fully straighten your leg, then you have a good hamstring flexibility. If, however, you find that your leg falls 35 degrees or more from a straight vertical, then you need to work on lengthening your hamstrings. Remember to do both sides. Active straight leg raise. Lie flat on your back with both legs extended straight. Lift one leg as high as you can without bending the knee or letting the other leg lift off the floor. If you're able to reach 90 degrees, excellent. You've got good hamstring flexibility. If you don't, that's okay. This is just an area for improvement. Once you have reached your max height, flex your foot. If there's a pull in your hamstring which significantly intensifies or turns into a zinging sensation behind the knee, then you're dealing also with nerve tension. So you're not only going to need to stretch your hamstrings, but you're also going to need to work on releasing the surrounding nerves. So nerve flossing may prove to be very helpful in your front split routine. Remember to do both sides. And there you have it, your front split assessment. Take some time to reflect over your results and feel free to share in the comments what areas you will need to focus on. Also, stay tuned for the upcoming follow along video, which will give you a daily routine on exercises that will help you to achieve the front splits. So with that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to let you know when the next video is ready. Have a BeautiFLEX day.